Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parikacharya Stotra Sri Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parikacharya Stotra Sri Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम, गंगामयी यमुनामयी की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, always Shiva and Gauranga. Yeah.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Tuesday, September 9th in 2025. Today we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam 4:21:40. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We have a question from yesterday from Saraswati Masterji. You could take that now.
Yes, pranams Param Pujya Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas. Before I ask my question, I thought we were on text 39. Did I miss that from yesterday?
That's what I have.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know if this is the forum to ask my question. I don't want to really give out any specifics. Feel very uncomfortable even asking this, but because it was in my mind and I couldn't get it out. My question was, well, in terms of friendship, we know that with those that are our peers, there is the platform of somewhat of an equality. But my question was directed because I'm very close friends with a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And of course, she was so young when she was initiated. And I believe she's probably one of the youngest of his disciples now. And her intent has always been to sort of have an equal sort of friendship, even though in my mind I consider her as my senior. And there's just some things that she speaks, facts which I can't verify on my own, but which are really important to her because she's trying to emphasize how certain times, certain individuals, and through their actions, when they're in a position of power, their actions somehow dilute the purity of our organization. And we all know what this organization means to all the Vaishnavas, especially Srila Prabhupada. So I feel really uncomfortable because I don't want to challenge what she's saying, but I cannot verify certain facts. And, she talks of certain people in positions of power that have sort of gotten away with acts which could even be called criminal if they were to be tried in the current, modern society system. These acts would be considered illegal and criminal. So I'm just saying, for somebody in my position where you can't verify facts, but at the same time you can't call somebody an outright liar, and at the same time you're also a little bit worried if what I'm hearing is also true. It's not to say that my faith is being diluted in the organization. It's just that I'm not sure how I am supposed to process all of this information coming at me. Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastrati Deshatarani Vanchakolpatarubhyascha Kapasindhu Pyevacha Pitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So I'm hearing right, there's a Prabhupada disciple, one of Prabhupada's later disciples who have a friendly relationship. Although she's senior to you, she deals with you as a friend, and she talks with you about various misdeeds committed by ISKCON leaders. Sounds like some of them are still ISKCON leaders, and you're uncomfortable with that. You don't know quite what to do with it, and how should you respond? My first thought is you could tell her just what you've told us, that you don't know, you're not in a position to verify or refute these various things, but it makes you uncomfortable to hear them. And the main thing is you're not in a position to do anything about it. You're not an ISKCON leader, you're not you're not an activist by nature. You're not ready to take up the cause. So you might just tell her that you're not, you don't know you don't have a way to process this information. You can't verify it. You can't refute it. You're not really willing to take up the research and find out the truth or falsity of this or that. And perhaps it's not even an issue with you, what this person or that person here or there may have done, may not have done. It's simply not your issue. And the only result of the discussion is for you to become uncomfortable, for you to feel, perhaps to hear unfair things, or perhaps to hear things that just make you think less of this or that devotee whom you don't even know and don't have to deal with. So could she please just leave you out of the discussion? You'd rather talk with her about Krishna Katha, about Prabhupada Katha, about we know this is also broadly within Krishna Katha. We all care about the organization. The people within the organization are all supposed to be having something to do with imparting devotional service or knowledge of devotional service to others. So everything is our concern ultimately, but that's ultimately. In terms of your immediate life, you need to hear about Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, about how better to form devotional service, whether it's your sadhana or your immediate service into the society or to the Krishna consciousness movement. And could she please do you the favor of, finding out someone else? Or you could talk with her generally, what do you want to do about it? Talking to me isn't really going to move the matter forward. What would you like to do? GBC has its various organs for dealing with misconduct of leaders and wrongdoings and so on. So do you want to take something up in a serious way, or do you just want to use me as sort of the pincushion for hearing all of these things and having to have these things in mind? That would be my thought. And that might help her also, Please find somebody who's more politically inclined or more of an activist or more in a position to do something to set things right if you think they're wrong. But just consider me your junior friend who'd just rather not hear about these things, not because I want to be in the dark or I can't bring myself to admit that there are people in ISKCON who do things wrong, that there are leaders in ISKCON who've done perhaps even criminal things, but just because there's no benefit for me and no benefit for you. How's that as a thought?
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. I know her intention is that she's sort of protecting me, but I'm not anywhere near the sphere of those people that she feels are dangerous to me. I know in her mind she thinks she's protecting me, but I'm not drawn to, that area in which she thinks it's dangerous territory. But yes, Guru Maharaj, everything that you said, yes.
You can tell her that too, that you understand that her intentions are good, that she wants to protect you, but you're not working in a field where those people are going to have a direct impact on your life. So perhaps better could she please just leave you out of it?
Thank you so much.
And now text 39.
Ramesh, would you like to read?
Okay. Yat sevaya shesha guhashaya swarat vipra priyas tushriti kamam ishara tadeva tad dharma varar vinitai sarvatmana brahma kulam nishevyatam. Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is everlastingly independent and who exists in everyone's heart, is very pleased with those who follow in his footsteps and engage without reservation in the service of the descendants of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. For he is always dear to Brahmins and Vaishnavas, and they are always dear to him. Purport. It is said that the Lord is most pleased when he sees one engage in the service of his devotee. He does not need any service from anyone because he is complete. But it is in our own interest to offer all kinds of services to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These services can be offered to the Supreme Person not directly, but through the service of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Srila Narottama Das Thakur sings, Charya Vaishnava Seva Nishtar Payeche Keva, which means that unless one serves the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, one cannot get liberation from the material clutches. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasadam. By satisfying the senses of the spiritual master, one can satisfy the senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, this behavior is not only mentioned in scriptures, but also followed by acharyas. Prithu Maharaj advised his citizens to follow the exemplary behavior of the Lord himself, and thus engage in the service of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Yat sevaya shesha guhashaya swarat. So this yat refers to the Lord who's been mentioned in the previous verse, or who's the subject of the previous verse. And these coming verses are part of the same description. We get this sort of grammatical construction in Sanskrit verses. Yat, 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 who. In English, you couldn't sustain this sort of a construction, but in Sanskrit, it's often seen. So yat sevya, whose, by whose service, by serving whom. Yat sevya ashesha guhashaya swarat. There's a little nuance in the word-for-word meaning. Guhashaya, he dwells within the heart of everyone. Swarat, but still fully independent. Although he dwells within the heart of everyone, still he's independent. If I'm in America, dwelling in America, then I'm subject to the laws of America or the limitations of being in the American context. But although the Lord dwells deep within the heart of every living being, he's still Surat, a Bigya Surat. He's fully independent. And he is very dear to the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. I think Prabhupada quoted just previously, Namo Brahmanya Devaya. He's the worshipable deity of the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. So, Mayi te teshu chapya. He's dear to them and they're dear to him. So, tat dharma parai, following in the footsteps of the Lord, by humility, one should engage nishevyatam, always engage in the service of Brahmakula, the descendants or group of Vipra, what was it in previous, Viprapriya. Viprapriya, the Lord is, one should always engage in the service of the Lord, who is dear to the devotees, by serving the devotees. This is a basic principle in devotional service, to become servant of the servant, or servant of the servant of the servant. Prabhupada said the more times you add servant, the higher your position. Not that being directly the servant is the best position. To be the servant of the servant is still more enviable. So if we try to become servants of God directly, we'll have great difficulty. But if we try to become servants of the servant of the Lord, then we can make rapid progress. In Prabhupada's purport, it's mentioned that rather than try to serve the senses of the Lord, it's better to try to serve the senses of the spiritual master. Perhaps a word of caution might be sounded here. The spiritual master is not a gratifier of his own senses. He's not an enjoyer of this material world. And he's not to be served simply by some ordinary means of sense gratification. The Shastras say one should try to offer suitable service to the spiritual master. One should offer nice food to the spiritual master, comfort to the spiritual master, and so on. But the spiritual master should never think of himself as an enjoyer. His business is not to enjoy his senses because he has such devoted disciples. It's their duty to offer service in this way, and it's his duty to see to their spiritual welfare. Particularly, it's not the business of the spiritual master to enjoy sense gratification offered by female disciples. It's not that there's it's the business of these female disciples to express their devotion to God by offering sense gratification in a mundane way to the spiritual master. And it's the business of the spiritual master to enjoy the services offered by the female disciples. That becomes, can quickly become a path to lowest degradation. Therefore, the spiritual master, although accepting service appropriately, is careful that I'm not the enjoyer, not that because women are coming to me, I should be enjoying these nice women. Because after all, how can I reject anything Krishna has sent? One has to know the boundaries set by Shastra. Otherwise, there'll be certain fall down. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, I have a question here. We see in this text Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Who are the Brahmanas here? Are they different than the Vaishnavas?
Yes. The Brahmanas, Brahmajanati iti Brahmana, Prabhupada quoted, or will quote, I forget which, his standard formula. One who knows Brahma, the absolute truth, is a Brahmana. So Brahmanas, Sama Dhamma Tapa Shocham Shantir Arjuna Mevacha Gyanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Shabhavacham. Those who have equanimity, sense control, austerity, cleanliness, tolerance, straightforwardness, knowledge, and realization are to be counted as Brahmanas. But they may not be Brahman, they may not be Vaishnavas. One can't be a Vaishnava without being a Brahmin, just as one can't be a PhD without having graduated high school. Even if he doesn't have a high school degree, he's already considered a graduate because he's got a PhD. We don't think, oh no, he's not qualified as a high school graduate. He's automatically qualified. But your high school degree doesn't confer doctoral status. The doctoral status is the postgraduate status. So to understand the absolute truth, even in the impersonal aspect, makes one a Brahmin. If one has these Brahminical qualifications and he understands the absolute truth, then he's a Brahmin. But he may not have understood the personality of Godhead, or his understanding of the personality of Godhead may still be more or less impersonal. Yes, that's called philosophized Vishnu. There's Vishnu, he's the absolute truth, but he's not different from the impersonal Brahma, which is the highest phase of the absolute truth, and which is not different from me. So in this way, one may be a Brahmin, or simply one understands I'm spirit, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm not this body. Life is meant not for sense gratification, but for spiritual realization. In this way, one may be a Brahmin, one may be a sage, one may be, in this way, a member of the highest section of society in terms of Varnashram. But he may not yet understand the personality of Godhead. Mam chayo bhyabhacharena bhakti yogena sevate saguna brahmabhuta prasanatman shochati nakamchati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate. In the Bhagavad Gita, brahmabhuta, when one realizes the nature of spirit, he becomes joyful. He understands I'm not this body, I'm spirit, soul. He has nothing to lament for, nothing to hanker for. He sees everyone and everything equally. So he's a Brahmin. But still, mad bhaktim labhate param, he still has to go further by taking up devotional service. Then he becomes a Vaishnava. So the Vaishnava is the postgraduate Brahmin. Is that okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you.
Okay.
We have some more things in the chat. Saraswati Mataji writes, if a person is serving the Vaishnavas with the desire to receive their mercy, as opposed to purely serving them to just satisfy them, is that an impure service attitude?
Someone serving a Vaishnava or the Vaishnavas, not exactly to please them, but to get their mercy, is that an impure mentality? Let's say it's a self-centered mentality. It's not rejected. There's so many places where the focus is getting the mercy of the Vaishnava. Even we pray to God, or we pray to the Vaishnava, please give us your mercy. So that's accepted. That's appreciated. The ordinary person doesn't give a hoot about the mercy of the Vaishnavas. We may not even care about the mercy of the Lord. So he's considered, what's the word? He's rejected as, or just considered less advanced. He may know that there's God, but he's not very concerned about it. He thinks everything's all right. Why do I have to pray for mercy? I'm doing fine. But a more fortunate person thinks that I need the mercy of God, and mercy of the Lord, or particularly I need, if he's still more advanced, I need the mercy of the devotee. So that's not wrong. But what is the mercy of the devotee? We may think in terms of material benefits, that my son will pass his exams, or my wife will do all right with her health, or I'll do okay with my business. Or one may think more advanced, I'll make spiritual progress, I'll be freed from material desires, I'll advance in spiritual consciousness. That's still better. Or one may specifically think, I'll advance in devotional service. Well, when we come to that point, what is devotional service? What is it to be advanced in devotional service? I can't be advanced in devotional service without serving. So at that point, it becomes perfect that the mercy I want is to serve. Even then, if one thinks that I'll serve the spiritual master to get the mercy of Krishna, and that's it, he hasn't quite understood. It's not that the spiritual master is just an instrument. It's not that I serve the spiritual master so that I'll get the mercy of God. I have to understand that the spiritual master is also God. He's the supreme personality of servitor Godhead. He's not God, the master, but he's God the servant. So there's, Prabhupada says in one place, one's relationship with the spiritual master is as good as one's relationship with the supreme personality of Godhead. That is to say, there's no difference. So if I see the spiritual master merely as a tool, then I haven't fully understood. I haven't fully understood. The spiritual master is non-different from God, or he's the pet servant of God. God means not just God alone, but God with his associates, God with his agents, God with his name, form, qualities, pastimes, everything. The Mayavadis particularly serve the spiritual master as a means to spiritual perfection. And then I don't need the spiritual master anymore. They give the example that once you've used a ladder to climb to the top of a wall, and you've gotten to the top of the wall, you can kick away the ladder. You don't need it anymore. So if we think of the spiritual master that way, merely as an instrument for achieving a higher stage, or if we think of the Vaishnavas that way, then what's the word? In Bhagavatam, I think in the third canto, we have separatist mentality. It means still we have to go further, because we're serving the Lord, the devotee, as a kind of obligatory, time-serving business in order to achieve a higher stage. But we don't really appreciate the devotee or the spiritual master in their own right. We know the spiritual master, the devotee, they have no independent qualification. But because they're very dear to Krishna, they have qualification, we can say, in their own right. They're individually qualified, not separately qualified, but individually qualified because of their dearness to Krishna. Individually qualified, but not separately qualified. The separated from God, nothing has any meaning. But in relationship to God, in relationship to Krishna, everyone has meaning. Sarva bhutatma bhutatma, the description of a self-realized person. He's dear to everyone. Everyone is dear to him. Because he sees, what is that? Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhutijam. He sees all living entities as being intimately related with Krishna. In that sense, one with Krishna. not just that it's some sort of posture, that it's some sort of scriptural requirement that's fulfilled. Yes, I have a spiritual master. Yes, I serve the Vaishnavas. Tick, 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 tick. I tick off the boxes. But one has genuine appreciation and gratitude and love for the spiritual master. Genuine gratitude, love, and appreciation of the Vaishnavas. Then one's Guru Bhakti or one's Vaishnava Bhakti becomes fulfilled, deeply fulfilled. It's wonderful if one serves the Vaishnavas in any way and for any reason. Even if one serves the Vaishnava with some ulterior motive, still he's serving a Vaishnava. How wonderful. It's appreciated. But when we come to the point of serving the Vaishnavas with genuine love and appreciation, thinking that the service of the Vaishnava is even better than the service of Krishna. I'm so fortunate that I get to serve a Vaishnava. Even Krishna wants to serve the Vaishnavas, and I'm getting this opportunity. When one has that mentality, one's consciousness becomes glorious. Hare Krishna.
Natalia Machi writes, now I am puzzled. What kind of service female devotee can offer to the spiritual master?
What the spiritual master orders, first of all. The spiritual master says, you please serve in the deity room. You please distribute books. You please serve in the kitchen. You please do this or that service. That's the first thing for any disciple, male, female. What the spiritual master has ordered. One should take the instructions of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. That's the main thing. It's not even for men or for women, the physical service of the spiritual master. The men may massage the body of the spiritual master. They may perform all sorts of physical service to the spiritual master that would be inappropriate for a female disciple. But it doesn't mean that they're in the most exalted position, that the devotee who's serving the body of the spiritual master is in a better position than the devotee, the disciple, who's carrying out the orders of the spiritual master and preaching. Or that such a disciple is more dear, or no. Prabhupada wasn't serving his spiritual master in terms of direct, personal, daily service. He wasn't preparing the spiritual master's meals or seeing to his bed or anything of that nature. But he became, as one Vaishnava poet in Vrindavan said, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Pradhana Shishya. He became the foremost disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur by carrying out the mission of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So everyone can do this. It doesn't matter, male, female, anyone. The female disciples may also assist by cooking, by cleaning, by those kind of activities. But when we come to proximity like that, then everyone needs to be careful. The spiritual master in particular needs to be careful, because now we're dealing with the most powerful force of Maya, the possible attraction between male and female. So the spiritual master should be so advanced that he doesn't think, now all these females are serving me, such a nice girl, such a beautiful girl, such an affectionate girl, and on and on. Then Maya gets the opportunity to enter. Although he knows that these female disciples, they're sent by Krishna, they're meant for the service of Krishna only. The outward beauty is no great consequence. It's the real beauty is their devotion to the Lord. He should be so advanced that he sees that way. But the Vedic injunctions build in safety by prescribing distance, especially. Because the man is like butter and the woman is like fire. And even though the intention may not be for the butter to melt, when the butter and fire come together, then the butter may melt. So the spiritual master is always careful not to allow circumstances that will lead to Maya's advantage. So we saw Srila Prabhupada's example that he was with, it's famous, of course, that he was talking with his sister in Bengali, and his servant thought, that brother and sister have something to talk about, I can go do something else. And Prabhupada later rebuked him, why did you leave me alone with that woman? The woman was his own sister, she was elderly, he was elderly. Prabhupada even used to criticize sometimes or joke that she was fat. But why did you leave me alone with that woman? So Prabhupada was so particular, so careful. That sannyasi should not be alone. No one should be alone. Matra svasra tuitra va navaviktasana bhave. One should not sit alone even with one's mother or one's sister or one's daughter. Why not? Balavan indriya grama, because the senses are so powerful. Maybe they're powerful for degraded people, uncultured people. No, vidvamsam abhikarshati. Even vidvan, a learned person, can be bewildered by this force of Maya. So the spiritual master or any devotee, we should all be careful that this is Maya's trap. Striya pumsa maituni palamita. This maituni pav, this attraction between male and female. So we should be so careful that it not be allowed to spoil our devotional service, our devotional life. After so much difficulty, we've come to this human form of life. We've come to the service of Krishna. We've been given some service for our spiritual master and the Lord. So why should I invite or accept a situation in which this service can be compromised by Maya's well-known power? It's not secret. It's not that one doesn't know that male and female are a potential trap. It's so well known. So many histories are there. So one should be extremely careful. The female disciples should not be foolishly sentimental and think under some sort of misunderstanding that by rendering sexual service to the spiritual master, they're doing the best service, or that they should serve with the same intimacy as the male disciples. That they should know, no, after all, I'm embodied as a woman, so I should be careful. Even when associating with the other, with the brahmacharis, with the other married men, that after all, I'm in this embodiment which can cause a chemical reaction. You put chemicals together and they'll react. So I have this body, they have that body. So even if we're all serving as devotees, we should be all careful. We should all be careful. The women should be careful not to be victimized by so-called Vaishnavas or sincere Vaishnavas who lose control of their senses. If we allow ourselves to be in a situation where we go beyond the safety net of the Vedic injunctions, then there can be fall down for me, fall down for you. So we should very carefully follow these rules and regulations so that we don't fall down and don't cause others to fall down. As men, we don't cause fall down for women. As women, we don't cause fall down for men or invite fall down. Because we're meant to help one another advance. And sometimes we don't help one another advance. The man doesn't help the female disciple by, or the female devotee by becoming her intimate counselor, her go-to person, her the person that only he can help, the person with whom he has to have offer intimate guidance. He has to be careful because he knows, after all, this is a woman. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in ecstasy hearing the just beautiful devoted kirtan. And he began to rush toward the singer to embrace that person. He was in such ecstasy by this pure devotional singing. And he began rushing toward that person. And Govinda, his personal servant, saw what was happening. My lord, that's a woman singing. Oh, a woman. Govinda, you've saved my life. On the absolute platform, there's no difference. But as a sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had no business embracing a woman, nor anyone other than the husband. The son has no business embracing a woman. So, Govinda, you saved my life. So he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. His life is not in jeopardy. But as an acharya, just to show the example, he observes the distinction. Observes the distinction doesn't mean that, oh, that's a stupid woman, she's useless. No, that's a servant of Krishna. But as a servant of Krishna in a female body, I have to be very careful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even when I see a mannequin of a woman, my mind becomes agitated. Even when I see a mannequin of a woman, what's the danger of a mannequin? There's just a form made out of wood or clay or plastic. But because it's shaped like a woman, my mind becomes agitated. Not that I'm on the highest stage of devotional service. None of this affects me. I can bend every rule because it's all for the service of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself shows the example. Srila Prabhupada himself shows the example. All the acharyas show that example. Not that we mix intimately man and woman, because everyone is spirit soul. We know everyone is spirit soul, but I don't embrace the tigers because they're spirit souls. I don't eat mud because there's no difference, because Sarva Kalavidam Brahma, everything is Brahman, and therefore I can eat mud instead of dal rice and chapatis. We observe these distinctions. Even the Mayavadis observe these distinctions. All right, we're not the Mayavadis, and we observe the distinctions in a different way. But everybody knows, Mayavadi, Vaishnav, that this is Maya's trap, this attraction. And therefore the female disciples should serve the spiritual master appropriately. And this appropriate relationship should not be spoiled by some impure or misdirected or overextended sentiments from either side. We should always keep it pure by remembering that this is all within the context of devotional service to Krishna, and by always remembering that there are rules and regulations to help us stay in the right understanding. I hope that's okay.
Praveen Prabhu writes, Janmana Jayate Shudra Samskarad Bhaved Dvija Vidapatad Bhaved Vipra Brahma Janati Iti Brahmana Na Te Vidu Svarta Gatim.
Yes. This is the definition of Brahmana. Brahmajanati iti Brahmana.
Praveen Prabhu writes, one group of devotees were supposed to take Diksha from Guru A, but later their leader, due to some circumstances, directed his group to take Diksha from Guru B. When an aspirant was asked, why did she change, she replied, it is the same. What is the difference? All are serving in Prabhupada's mission. One can take Diksha from anywhere authorized. Probably the leader has more direction and says to the disciples life than the Guru. And the leader, probably the leader has more direction and say to the disciples life than the Guru. And the leaders, like such gurus, who wouldn't interfere much in their disciples and just hand them to serve the mission under their leader. Can this be equally spiritually uplifting?
Well, this is quite the complex topic. The guru at the JBC has issued a paper on the topic, which we may or may not always agree with, and it's a large topic of concern, how management and spiritual service to how management and devotion to the spiritual master proceed together. And sometimes we see that these spiritual masters give little respect or regard to the management, although the managers, the local leaders have worked so hard to rescue someone from the clutches of Maya, to bring him to devotional service, to engage him, to get him initiated. Then the spiritual master thinks, this is my man, and gives hardly any regard to the preachers who've done all the hard work. Sometimes we see that. And then sometimes we see on the other side that this is my man, and he belongs to our temple, and he's one of our foot soldiers, or one of our a member of our staff, our personnel, our human resources, and the spiritual master should not be allowed to get in the way. The disciple should always understand the paramount importance of following his authorities, that is to say, his local temple authorities. And he shouldn't be given much, what's the word? The guru is just less important. He's important, but he's one of the interchangeable parts. The disciple needs a guru. Now he's got a guru. Good, done. Now you're initiated, and you serve in the temple under my direction. And what else is there to know? So it can be, the relationship can be misunderstood, or the relationships can be misunderstood or abused, or underappreciated from either side. So it becomes something. But if there's broad-mindedness and if there's broad-mindedness and appreciation from all sides, then there'll be then it's better for the temple, it's better for the guru, and it's better for the disciple. Everyone is working for the upliftment of the disciple, the guru, the local leaders. And the disciple appreciates the local leaders and serves the guru with devotion under their direction. And everything fits together. If the disciple would benefit sometimes by doing some personal service for the guru or associating with the guru, then the local leaders try to help. And if the local leaders need the service of that disciple, then the spiritual master tries to help. So ideally, everything goes along in such a fashion with appreciation from all sides. But sometimes it doesn't. And things have to be adjusted. But we can't redo the philosophy to minimize the relationship with the spiritual, between the disciple and the spiritual master. We never find the acharyas writing songs, my only desire is to serve my local authorities, life after life. Sorry, as important as the local authorities may be, and even acknowledging that they are kind of guru for the candidate or the disciple, still there's a special relationship, a special regard, a special devotion reserved for one's spiritual master. And it may be initiating spiritual master, maybe instructing spiritual master. The relationship of the instructing spiritual master is not also just something, what's the word, institutionally established. It's not that because you're my temple president, you're my Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru is something very particular. Because you're my temple president, you're my temple president. And I owe you so much regard, respect, obedience. But there's doesn't mean that I've accepted you in my heart as my life and soul, and that my only desire is to serve you, my temple president, life after life. But Chakudan Diloje Janme Janme Prabhukshe, the person who's my spiritual master, who's opened my eyes, is my guru, life after life. I may have such regard for my temple president also. And I may take initiation from my temple president if that's possible. But not that automatically, by virtue of my post as temple president or Sankirtan leader or head of the kitchen department or Bhakta leader, you name it. Now I've become the guru of the person, and that person owes me exactly the same devotion that they owe to their spiritual master. Otherwise, he's fallen. One has to appreciate that there's a special regard, a special relationship, not only special, but essential relationship between the guru and the disciple. And we might find it convenient institutionally to play down that relationship, because then the institution will work more smoothly. But if we take that position, that view, then we do so at the risk of compromising the teachings for which we're trying to spread. Hare Krishna. We've gone over the time.
Yeah. Can we take these questions tomorrow?
Yes, I haven't looked at them, but yes, I think we should stop here.
Okay. Radesha Prabhu, are you available to lead Kirtan tonight?
Yes, Prabhu. I Guru Maharaj, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Guru Dasa Jayādvaita Swami Niti Namani. As you were responding to Praveen Krishna Prabhu's comment, I did think that it's just the latter philosophy in another form. You checked off that mark, so the spiritual master is just a tool that, okay, we checked that box. It sounds like the Mayavadi ladder analogy you gave, just in another form. You know, we think it's okay, and in our context it's acceptable, but it's not acceptable in any context to have a spiritual master just as a tool, a means to an end. Anyway.
Yeah, one Vaishnava remarks, nothing in Krishna consciousness is just a formality. Anyway, we're stopping here.
Yes. Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama.
Well, it looks like Radhesha's connection has dropped.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful kirtan, but
It was nice.
the connection has been broken.
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parikacharya Astotra Susudvangas A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parikacharya Astotra Susudvangas Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तों की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोधाम की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की जय. मायापुर धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय. समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय. All Gurus assemblies, all Gurus assemblies, all Gurus assemblies, always Shri Guru and Gaurang, always Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Maharaj, for appearing in the Zoom class. Thank you. On behalf
Thank
of
you,
all.
Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. And
Thank
thank you to all the Vaishnavas for taking part.
His Holiness
The
Jayadvaita
Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, my phone died. Okay. I hope my last mantra made it to the end at least.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
For your kirtan. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare.